All right, hello everybody. Welcome back. Today we're going to look at Chapter 3, Section 2.2. In today's lesson, we're going to look at the Assyrian Empire, and then we're going to look at the Chaldeans who overtook the Assyrians, and then we're going to look at Nebuchadnezzar, who was the most famous king in Chaldean. So today's main idea for this lesson is that the Assyrians, then the Chaldeans, conquered Mesopotamia. So for about 1,000 years after Hammurabi and the whole empire associated with Hammurabi died off, Mesopotamia was under many different empires' rules. So the Assyrians were people of northern Mesopotamia who developed a different culture. They were united by their worship of the god Ashur, for whom the Assyrian capital was named. A strong agricultural economy and a large professional army helped the Assyrians conquer all of Mesopotamia, parts of Asia Minor, and even the rich state of Egypt by 650 BC. So one of the reasons that the Assyrians were able to overtake different groups of people and the area of all of these areas so easily is that they had some pretty significant advantages over their enemies. Destructive iron weapons gave Assyrian armies one of the biggest advantages over their enemies, whose weapons were made of a weaker bronze. The armies also had horse-drawn chariots and soldiers who used bows and arrows while riding horses. Assyrian soldiers were also experts at capturing cities. It was not uncommon for soldiers to kill or enslave captured people and then burn their cities to the ground. Villages, towns, and cities had to answer to the unforgiving Assyrian king, who held absolute power. Even the highest officials were closely watched. The government sometimes forced rebellious people to move to far away lands. In time, however, the Assyrian Empire grew too big, and its subjects became very tired of being treated so unfairly and violently. By about 626 BC, the Assyrians were weakened by internal power struggles. This made it possible for people known as the Chaldeans to eventually defeat them. So I think I said the name of this group of people wrong earlier in the video, so I apologize. The correct way to say this group of people's names is the Chaldeans. The Chaldeans were semi-nomadic, which means that partly nomadic, people who originally came from southern Babylonia. After overthrowing the Assyrians in 612 BC, the Chaldeans became the ruling power of Babylon and extended their rule over all of Mesopotamia. Nebuchadnezzar II was the most famous Chaldean king. Under his rule, which lasted for 43 years, the new Babylonian Empire included Mesopotamia and all of the Fertile Crescent. So you'll see to the right of your slide what people think Nebuchadnezzar might have looked like. I don't think I've mentioned this before, and if I had, I apologize, but it's still good for us to know. All of the things that we see, like pictures or paintings or things, are done for the most part like our best guess. We don't really know what these types of things looked like. A lot of the time, and we'll get to this in the next slide too, when we look at buildings and things, all we know now is that they're in ruins. So some of these people who didn't have the most sophisticated writing systems or didn't do art or things like that, we have no way of really knowing what they looked like. So any of these pictures and things, again, are kind of our best guess of what things actually looked like. So let's look a little bit more into Nebuchadnezzar's rule. He was often a cruel king, but he did make improvements to Babylon. He rebuilt the city and added some incredible beauty to it. From miles away, the Tower of Babel, a soaring 7-story multicolored ziggurat, inspired awe. Visitors entered the inner city through the colorful Ishtar Gate with its gleaming blue glazed bricks and images of dragons and bulls. The king's most famous accomplishment was the Hanging Gardens of Babylon. However, I will note that many historians don't actually think this was in the city of Babylon. but it was a real thing. Like the hanging gardens were real. They just probably weren't actually in Babylon. Pumps operated by slaves irrigated a large level terrace of trees and plants. The terrace formed a green mountain that seemed to float in the city. Although his empire outlasted him by fewer than 25 years, Nebuchadnezzar had built a monumental city fitting its name, Babylon, Gate of God. All right, so to wrap up, the Assyrians and the Chaldeans both brought about changes to Mesopotamia after a long period, remember, it's about 1,000 years, of rotating rulers and empires. This brought stabilization to the area, and these empires are able to once again expand across the area and establish dominance and rule. All right, guys. Thank you guys for listening. Go ahead and check back in Canvas to see what your next job is, and I'll see you guys later. Bye.